Welcome to Starbound. My name's the Voice Ogre, and I'll be your narrator today. Nearly 500 supporters get early access to our stories, including brand new stories of Sunspire Academy, which I happen to do, and Freyrin and Rimiki. If you'd like to unlock early access and support new episodes and future series, tap Join below to become a Starbound member. Now, let's get into today's story. High Admiral Krixvar of the Galactic Union Central Command leaned back in his gravity-suspending chair, multifaceted eyes blinking in sequence as he reviewed the classified species assessment. Around him, the crystalline walls of the Union Strategic Assessment Chamber glowed with the data streams of 1,000 worlds. So, these humans... He chittered, pronouncing the word like it tasted of something unpleasant. They have achieved FTL? Senior xenobiologist Dr. Thelmara nodded, her luminescent skin rippling with academic excitement. Indeed, Admiral. It is crude but functional. They have established colonies in 17 star systems. 17? The Zith commander Vraxnil hissed from across the chamber. His exoskeleton gleamed under the chamber's lights, weapon limbs folded in ceremonial rest. The Zith claimed 38 systems before the Union even acknowledged our existence. Yes, well, Thelmara continued. Humans are limited. Their neural processing averages 200 milliseconds. That is pathetic, interrupted Vraxnil. Zith warriors process at 0.03 milliseconds. Even the Fisharis organic digital hybrid brains operate at 0.03 milliseconds, added Ambassador Zix-9, her holographic form shimmering with countless data points. The Vishari had transcended physical forms centuries ago, existing as information constructs that interfaced with reality through projected bodies. Admiral Krixvar flicked a tentacle dismissively. And the Unari experience time in non-linear fashion altogether. Yes, we're all very impressed with ourselves. What about their combat capabilities? Dr. Thelmara projected a hologram of a human military unit. Primitive ballistic weapons, mostly. Some directed energy. Nothing that would concern Union security forces. Vraxnil's mouth parts clicked faster, the Zith equivalent of laughter. They're still using physical projectiles? Like animals throwing rocks? Well, to be fair, Dr. Thelmara said, they've weaponized nuclear fission and fusion quite effectively, and their cyber warfare techniques are surprisingly... Enough, Admiral Krixvar interrupted. Standard first contact protocols. Welcome them to the galactic community. The usual diplomatic overtures. He paused, compound eyes narrowing. And schedule a combat assessment. I want to know exactly how much of a non-threat they truly are. Vraxnil's weapon limbs unfolded eagerly. I volunteer the Zith Carapace Guard for this assessment. The Admiral nodded. Granted. Nothing too lethal. We're not barbarians. Dr. Thelmara looked uncomfortable. Perhaps we should review more of their behavioral... Dismissed, Admiral Krixvar said. The humans can have their moment of awe at our Grand Union. Then we will show them exactly where they sit on the galactic hierarchy. As the chamber emptied, no one noticed the slight tremor in Dr. Thelmara's luminescent skin, the only external sign of her concern. She had studied humans longer than any of them, and there was something odd about the species, something that didn't quite add up. But who was she to question the Galactic Union's millennia of experience with new species integration? 3 weeks later, the Galactic Union's diplomatic vessel, Infinite Discourse, hung in orbit around the Earth, its crystalline structures refracting sunlight into rainbows across the planet's upper atmosphere. Inside the ship's cavernous greeting hall, human diplomats mingled awkwardly with representatives from 24 alien species. The first official contact reception was going about as well as expected, which is to say, filled with cultural misunderstandings, translation errors, and the occasional accidental insult. Commander Anna Ace Kai, one of Earth's most decorated and reluctant diplomatic escorts, leaned against a wall, nursing a drink and regretting every life choice that had led her to wearing a dress uniform instead of a flight suit. "You having fun yet, Ace?" asked Captain Rex Fox Lee, sliding next to her with 2 glasses of something that definitely wasn't from Earth. "I'd rather be doing these atmospheric re-entry drills without shields," she muttered, accepting the drink regardless. "These Union types are so condescending. Did you hear the Zith commander? Asked me if humans had evolved beyond throwing spears yet." Wraith grinned. "I can't wait to see their faces tomorrow at the combat assessment. What do you think they're going to have us do? Push-ups?" "I heard it was some kind of reflex test," Kai said, taking a sip and immediately regretting it. Whatever was in the glass tasted like jet fuel mixed with cinnamon. The Zith are apparently very proud of their reaction times. "Reaction times? That's what they're measuring?" Wraith laughed, drawing glances from a group of hovering crystalline entities nearby. "Oh, this is gonna be fun." Before Kai could respond, a commotion near the center of the hall drew their attention. A human diplomat, some bureaucrat from the United Earth government, was on the ground, a shattered glass beside him. Above him towered a Zith warrior, exoskeleton armor gleaming. "Insulted the Hive Mother's honor," the Zith was saying, weapon limbs partially extended. Kai and Wraith exchanged glances and moved quickly toward the confrontation. But before they got there, another human stepped between the fallen diplomat and the alien. It was Commander Jake Mav Vega, his dress uniform pristine, his trademark lopsided grin firmly in place. Unlike most humans in the room, he looked completely at ease, like this was just another day at a particularly unusual bar. "Whoa there, big guy," Vega said, hands raised placatingly. "Pretty sure my colleague here wasn't trying to cast aspersions on your, what was it, Hive Mother?" Zith, whom Kai now recognized as Commander Vraxnil from the briefings, loomed over Vega. "Your diplomat suggested the Sith Collective join the Union out of fear." Vega's smile didn't waver. "Well, that does sound like a diplomatic whoopsie. But you know, us humans, we're still getting the hang of this whole galactic community thing, so how about we call it a translation error and we grab a fresh drink?" Vraxnil's multifaceted eyes narrowed. "Do not patronize me, human. Your species' sluggish reflexes are matched only by your primitive diplomacy." At this, Vega's smile shifted slightly, becoming something sharper. "Sluggish reflexes, huh? Tell you what, Commander, why don't we save this conversation for tomorrow's assessment? Give you a chance to show me just how superior the Zith really are." The alien's mouth clicked rapidly. "I look forward to it, human. The Zith have never been defeated in combat assessment." "First time for everything," Vega said, winking. Actually winking at an 8-foot-tall insectoid alien with natural weapons capable of slicing through steel. As Vraxnil stalked away, Fox approached Vega. "You always gotta poke the hornet's nest, don't you, Mav?" Vega shrugged, helping the fallen diplomat to his feet. "What can I say? I got a good feeling about tomorrow." Kai rolled her eyes. "That's what you said before you crashed the X-99 prototype into the Admiral's yacht." "Hey!" Vega pointed at her. "I walked away from that crash without a scratch. And I'll walk away from tomorrow's little assessment the same way." He glanced over at the alien delegation, his eyes lingering on Vraxnil. "Something tells me the Galactic Union is in for quite the surprise." The combat assessment chamber aboard the Infinite Discourse resembled a massive geodesic dome. Its walls formed from interlocking hexagonal panels that could reconfigure to create virtually any environment. Currently it was set to neutral, a flat, featureless floor with gravity calibrated to Earth standard. and the observation deck above, representatives from 24 species watched with varying degrees of interest as their assessment preparations continued. "This is unnecessary," Dr. Thelmara muttered to Admiral Kriksvar. "The humans are not a threat." The Admiral's tentacles waved dismissively. "It is protocol, Doctor. Besides, Commander Vaxnil assures me this test is non-lethal. Mostly." Below, Commander Jake Vega stood in the center of the chamber, wearing a fitted black jumpsuit with Earth emblazoned across the shoulders. He bounced lightly on his toes, rolling his neck and shoulders as if preparing for a light workout rather than an alien combat assessment. The human delegation sat in a special section of the observation deck. Captain Rex Lee leaned toward Commander Kai. 20 credits says Mav pisses off the bugs within the first minute. "No bet," Kai replied, eyes fixed on Vega. "But 50 says he survives the full assessment." Lee raised an eyebrow. "You've seen the specs on these Zith, right? I mean, reaction times that can make our best pilots look like they're moving through molasses." Kai shrugged. He's different." Before Lee could ask what she meant, the chamber's announcement system activated. "Combat Assessment Protocol 9 Delta will commence in 30 seconds, announced a synthesized voice. "Human subject, prepare." Below, Vega gave a mock salute to the observation deck, then stretched his arms casually above his head. Commander Vraxnil entered the chamber, accompanied by 2 other Zith warriors. Between them, they carried what looked like a complex apparatus, a central orb surrounded by dozens of smaller spheres connected by articulated arms. "Human subject," Vraxnil's amplified voice echoed. "This is the reflex assessment device. The test is simple. The central unit will activate and control these 36 laser emitters. They will fire non-lethal but painful energy bursts in random patterns. Your objective is to avoid being hit." Vega nodded, looking at the device with interest. "So it's basically a high-stakes dodgeball. Gotcha." "The galactic record is 3 rounds. No species has ever survived beyond that. The Vishari managed 2 rounds. "Neat," Vega said, rolling his shoulders again. "See if we can't beat that, huh?" In the observation deck, multiple species began placing bets on how quickly the human would fail. The odds were not favorable. The Zith warriors set up the device and retreated from the chamber. A transparent barrier rose around the perimeter, isolating Vega with the mechanical contraption. "Round 1 will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The central orb glowed blue, and the smaller spheres began to move, rotating around the core in seemingly random patterns. "Commence!" The first laser fired, a bright red beam that shot directly at Vega's chest. He wasn't there. Vega had already shifted to the side, the beam missing him by inches. Another fired, and another, and another. Each time, Vega moved just before the beam fired, stepping aside, ducking, leaning back in what almost looked like a casual dance. In the observation deck, silence fell. "How is he?" Dr. Thelmara whispered. The pattern accelerated. 2 beams fired simultaneously from opposite directions. Vega dropped into a perfect split, both beams passing harmlessly above him. He popped back up with a gymnast's grace, then backflipped over 3 more shots. "Round 1 complete," announced the system. "Subject performance, 0 hits, 0 near misses. Proceeding to round 2. The spheres reconfigured, now moving more erratically. The central orb glowed purple. Round 2 will utilize unpredictable firing patterns based on quantum fluctuations. No living neural network has been able to anticipate these patterns. Vega cracked his knuckles. "Bring it." "Commence." What followed defied explanation. The lasers fired in truly random patterns, sometimes dozens simultaneously, sometimes with millisecond delays, sometimes creating intricate crossfire patterns that should have been impossible to evade. Yet Vega moved through them like water flowing around rocks. He slid, spun, contorted, and at one point did a full handstand to avoid a low-sweeping beam. Not a single shot touched him. In the observation deck, chaos erupted.
"This is impossible,"
Raxnil hissed.
"The firing patterns are based on quantum randomness. He cannot be predicting them."
Admiral Krixfar turned to Dr. Thelmara.
"Explanation now."
The xenobiologist's skin had gone pale with shock.
I don't understand. The human's documented reaction time shouldn't allow for this. It's as if he's moving before the device decides where to fire.
Round 2 complete, the system announced. Subject performance, 0 hits, 0 near misses. Proceeding to round 3. The chamber fell silent again as the device reconfigured once more. The central orb now glowed an ominous red. Round 3 utilizes tachyon-based targeting. The beams will register impact before the targeting system finalizes trajectory calculation. Temporal causality is reversed. Anticipation is theoretically impossible. In the center of the chamber, Vega was sweating now, but his confident smile hadn't faded. He winked up at the observation deck.
"Let's dance,"
he said. Commence. What happened next would be analyzed, debated, and eventually feared across the galaxy for decades to come. The tachyon beams didn't just fire randomly. They broke causality itself, registering hits before they were fired. The laws of physics dictated that dodging them was impossible, as the effect preceded the cause. Yet James Maverick Vega dodged every single one. He moved like a man possessed, or more accurately, like a man who could see milliseconds into the future. He twisted his body in ways that made no tactical sense until the beams fired exactly where he wasn't. At one point, he dropped flat on his back for no apparent reason, only for 6 beams to cross precisely where his torso had been a nanosecond earlier. In the observation deck, the Vishari representatives were frantically analyzing their data, their holographic forms flickering with the computational strain. The Zeeth delegation had gone completely still, a sign of extreme distress in their species. And Admiral Krixfar's tentacles were writhing in what could only be described as panic. Round 3 complete, the system finally announced. Subject performance, 0 hits, 0 near misses. A pause. This concludes the standard assessment protocol. Another pause. Would the subject like to attempt round 4? No species has ever attempted round 4. Vega, breathing hard now but still standing tall, looked directly at the Zeeth delegation in the observation deck.
"Why not?"
he called out.
"I'm just warming up."
Raxnil's exoskeleton actually creaked as he leaned forward.
"What kind of cheating nonsense?"
he shrieked into the communication system. Vega shrugged, wiping his sweat from his brow. He said, the sound amplified throughout the chamber.
"Yeah, so turns out that we kind of see the future. Whoops."
The chamber erupted into chaos. The Galactic Union's scientific analysis chamber wasn't designed for interrogations. But that effectively was what was happening as Dr. Thelmara, Admiral Krixfar, Commander Raxnil, and representatives from the Vishari and Unari surrounded a team of very uncomfortable human scientists.
"Explain,"
Admiral Krixfar demanded, tentacles writhing in agitation.
"How did your Commander Vega anticipate tachyon-reversed causality beams?"
Dr. Leah Sado, Earth's leading neurophysicist, cleared her throat nervously. Behind her, a holographic display showed complex neural scans of human brains.
Well, you see, it's complicated,
she began.
"Uncomplicated,"
Raxnil hissed. Dr. Sado sighed.
Fine.
Humans have what we call quantum neuroentanglement temporal precognition. Silence. In simpler terms, she continued, some of our neurons become quantum entangled with probability waves, creating a subconscious awareness of imminent events.
The Vishari representative, Zix-9, flickered forward.
Impossible. Neural structures cannot maintain quantum coherence at biological temperatures.
Dr. Sato displayed another scan. Normally, you'd be right. But human neurons have a peculiar structure. See these myelin sheaths? They act as quantum isolators. And these specific neuron clusters here, she highlighted an area of the brain, they form what we call temporal prediction nodes. Dr. Thelmora moved closer to the display, her scientific curiosity overcoming her shock. You're saying that humans can see the future? Not exactly see, corrected Dr. Sato. It's more like an unconscious awareness, a feeling. We call it instinct, intuition, a gut feeling, or a hunch. It manifests as an urge to move or act in a certain way, often before we consciously register why. Commander Vraxnil clicked skeptically.
You expect us to believe your species evolved the ability to sense future events?
It's not that far-fetched, Dr. Sato replied. Evolution favors survival. Being able to move out of the way of a falling branch a split second before you consciously see it, that is a massive survival advantage. Admiral Krixvar's eyes narrowed.
If this ability is so advantageous, why haven't other species evolved it?
Dr. Sato laughed, actually laughed, which shocked the alien delegation into silence. I'm sorry, she said, composing herself. It's just the irony. You see, most advanced species in the Union evolved from apex predators or highly specialized organisms, right? Perfect reaction times, specialized senses, natural weapons. Nods all around. Humans didn't. We were mediocre at everything. Not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most sensory capable. We were just okay. So evolution gave us this weird temporal awareness as a compensatory mechanism. Little cheat code to help us compete. She displayed another scan. It's subtle. Works maybe 200 to 500 milliseconds into the future. Just enough time to give us an edge when it matters most.
If this is true,
the Unai representative said, its time-phased voice echoing strangely,
why did your Commander Vega not inform us of this ability?
Dr. Sato looked genuinely confused. Why would we? We thought everyone had it. It's so fundamental to human experience that we never considered it might be unique. It would be like explicitly telling you that we breathe oxygen. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in.
So,
Admiral Krixvar finally said,
you're telling me that humans, whom we classified as slow, weak, and technologically dependent, can effectively dodge any attack before it's even launched?
Pretty much, Dr. Sato confirmed, although it works best in clear threat situations. The more immediate and specific the danger, the stronger the precognitive impulse. Commander Vraxnil slammed a weapon limb against the wall, leaving a deep gash.
This changes everything! A species that can anticipate attacks before they happen cannot be defended against!
We can still be killed, Dr. Sato clarified quickly. Our precognition has limits. Doesn't help against area effects, environmental hazards, or slow-acting threats. And some humans have stronger abilities than others. Like your Commander Vega? Dr. Sato nodded. Vega is exceptional. His temporal awareness extends further than most, almost a full second. That's why he's such an incredible pilot. His brain is processing flight situations before they fully develop. The Vishari representative flickered again.
This explains certain anomalies. In human historical records, it is. Your species' improbable military victories. Your survival against overwhelming odds.
Humanity's history is basically a long series of us getting by on hunches and gut feelings, Dr. Sato agreed. We never realized that there was actual quantum physics involved. Admiral Krixvar's tentacles had stopped writhing and were now curled tightly against his body, a sign of intense concentration.
Doctor,
he said slowly,
I need to know right now. just how serious a threat humanity poses to the Galactic Union.
Dr. Sato blinked. Threat? We're not a threat. We just want to join the galactic community and learn from you all.
After what we just witnessed,
Fraxneel hissed.
you expect us to believe?
She's telling the truth, Dr. Thelmara interrupted, her biosensors reading the humans' physiological responses. Humans don't see this as a weapon. They see it as normal.
But it changes everything,
The Admiral insisted. Dr. Sato looked around at the alien faces and non-faces surrounding her. She suddenly realized the gravity of the situation, how this revelation was being received not as an interesting scientific discovery, but as a potentially galaxy-altering strategic development. Look, she said carefully, humanity has had this ability for our entire existence. We've used it to avoid predators, catch prey, and occasionally win unlikely battles. But we've never used it to conquer or dominate. We literally didn't know it was special until today. The aliens exchanged glances.
Perhaps,
The Admiral finally said.
Perhaps we should continue this discussion at the highest levels of the Union Council.
As the delegation filed out, leaving the human scientists behind, Dr. Thelmara lingered.
Your Commander Vega,
She said quietly to Dr. Sato.
he knew, didn't he? That's why he volunteered for the assessment. He knew exactly what would happen.
Dr. Sato's face remained carefully neutral. Like I said, some humans have stronger hunches than others. The Galactic Union Council chamber on Nexus Prime hadn't been this packed in centuries. Representatives from all 317 member species crowded the tiered seating, with emergency translation fields working overtime to handle the cacophony of voices, clicks, psychic emanations, and pheromone bursts that constituted interstellar debate. At the center of it all, a holographic display showed Commander Jake Vega's perfect run through all 4 rounds of the combat assessment. The footage had been classified at the highest level, but leaks were inevitable in a civilization spanning thousands of worlds. High Chancellor Zixis of the Unified Consciousness banged a gravitational gavel, sending ripples of silence through the chamber.
Order! We will have order!
The Chancellor's form shifted between various energy states as it spoke, a sign of extreme agitation in its species.
The Special Committee on Human Integration will present its findings.
Admiral Krixfar floated to the central platform, accompanied by representatives from the scientific, military, and strategic divisions.
Honored representatives,
He began.
after extensive analysis of the human quantum neuroentanglement phenomenon, we have completed our revised threat assessment.
The chamber hushed.
Humanity has been reclassified from threat level 378 to threat level 3.
Pandemonium erupted. Species with vocal capabilities shouted questions. Those communicating via light patterns flashed in frantic sequences. Several hive mind collectives simply shut down, unable to process the implications. The gavel slammed again.
Explain this dramatic reassessment.
Demanded the representative from the Zeeth Collective, a different individual than Commander Raxnil, but with the same aggressive posture. Admiral Krixvar's tentacles moved in precise patterns, controlling the holographic display.
The human ability to anticipate events before they occur gives them an unprecedented tactical advantage. Our military simulations indicate that conventional warfare against humans would be problematic.
The display showed a simulation of a standard Union battlecruiser firing on a human vessel. The human ship moved before the weapons fired, evading perfectly.
Even our most advanced targeting systems cannot compensate.
The Admiral continued.
The humans don't react to our attacks. They anticipate them before we execute them.
Surely our superior technology,
began the Vishari representative,
is irrelevant if we cannot connect with its target.
The Admiral finished.
And this ability extends beyond their piloting. Human ground forces demonstrate the same precognitive capabilities. Our simulation suggests that even a small human strike team could neutralize objectives defended by vastly superior forces, simply by avoiding all countermeasures.
Another simulation showed human soldiers navigating a defense grid, moving through gaps in sensor coverage that hadn't even opened yet.
This is absurd,
declared the Unari representative, its time-phased voice causing translation fields to crackle.
We literally exist in multiple temporal states simultaneously. How can these primitives possibly counter us?
A direct confrontation between Unari duelists and human operatives has been simulated,
the Admiral said, displaying the results.
The outcome was unexpected.
The simulation showed an Unari duelist, its form blurring across multiple time phases, facing a human opponent. The duelist struck simultaneously in 3 different temporal planes and hit nothing but air in all of them. The human had simply sidestepped the entire multidimensional attack. Murmurs of disbelief filled the chamber.
Our predictive algorithms cannot account for their movements,
the Vishari scientific director admitted.
We calculate a 99.9997% probability of the target moving right, and then...
The hologram showed a human soldier diving left.
They do the opposite.
The Vishari finished, its holographic form flickering in frustration.
Most concerning,
Admiral Krixvar continued,
are the implications for strategic weapons deployment.
This part of the briefing was met with uneasy silence.
If we were to deploy fleet-destroying weapons against human worlds...
The simulation showed a massive energy weapon firing at a human colony. As the beam approached, hundreds of small craft suddenly launched, each taking a different escape vector. None were hit.
They would simply evacuate beforehand, having felt the attack coming.
The Zith representative clicked rapidly in what translated as extreme frustration.
What the fuck? Order!
The High Chancellor interrupted.
What are your recommendations, Admiral?
Admiral Krixvar's tentacles curled inward.
We have 3 options. First, immediate and overwhelming force against all human worlds, accepting catastrophic casualties on our side. Second, quarantine humanity with their current territory and prevent further expansion. Or third,
he paused,
fast-track them for full Union membership and strategic alliance.
The chamber exploded again. When the order was finally restored to the room, the High Chancellor addressed the assembly.
This third option seems counterintuitive.
On the contrary, Dr. Thamara said, joining the Admiral on the platform. It is the most logical course. Humans have possessed this ability throughout their history, and have never used it for systematic conquest. Their psychological profiles indicate a strong preference for cooperation over domination, and strategically...
Yes?
The Chancellor prompted. Wouldn't you rather have humans fighting for the Union than against it? Meanwhile, aboard the human diplomatic vessel Audacity, Commander James Vega was being simultaneously congratulated and berated by Admiral Helena Frost, Earth's highest-ranking military officer.
The single most irresponsible, reckless, and potentially catastrophic demonstration of human capabilities I have ever witnessed,
the Admiral was saying, her voice sharp but kept deliberately low.
You have single-handedly altered the trajectory of humanity's integration into galactic society.
Vega stood at attention, though a hint of his signature smirk remained.
With all due respect, Admiral, they were going to find out sooner or later. It's better to show them on our terms and have them discover it when it really matters.
The Admiral's stern expression cracked slightly.
And that is the only reason you're not being court-martialed, Commander.
She sighed, looking at the datapad in her hand. The Union Council is in session. The Zith are advocating for our immediate quarantine. The Vishari want us to be studied like lab specimens. And the Unari, well, they're proposing something that translates roughly as temporal excision, which sounds distinctly unpleasant. And what do we want, Admiral? Vega asked, his expression suddenly serious. Admiral Frost set down the datapad. What we've always wanted, Commander. A seat at the table. recognition as equals, and the chance to contribute to something greater than ourselves. She moved around to the viewport, looking out at the glittering expanse of the Galactic Union fleet surrounding her ship. But thanks to your little stunt, we might end up with considerably more than that. 6 months after what became known as the Vega incident, the galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. Humanity, rather than being quarantined or attacked, had been granted provisional Galactic Union membership with unprecedented speed. The strategic value of having humans on your side rather than against you had ultimately overridden concerns about their uncanny abilities. And humanity, in true human fashion, was capitalizing on the situation with breathtaking efficiency. "Welcome to Advanced Human Reflex Training, Session 7, announced Anna Kai to a room full of alien diplomats, military officers, and corporate representatives. Each had paid 20,000 credits for the privilege of learning secrets that humanity had previously considered too obvious to mention. Today, we'll be covering gut feelings and decision-making, when to trust your instincts. The irony wasn't lost on her. 6 months ago, she'd been a combat pilot, and now she was teaching aliens how to, well, be more human. Remember, she continued, you won't develop actual temporal precognition, but you can learn to use subtle environmental cues that your conscious mind might miss. The Vishari representative raised its holographic hand. But isn't that just advanced pattern recognition? We already have algorithms for that. Kai smiled patiently. Algorithms follow rules. Hunches break them. That's the difference. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as humanity leveraged its newfound reputation. On the banking world of Crix Prime, a human security consultant commanded fees that would have been considered obscene a year earlier. The biorhythmic authentication system can be bypassed, said Rex Lee to the horrified board of directors of the Galactic Central Bank. He wasn't even looking at the security schematic, instead absently tossing a credit chip into the air and catching it repeatedly. Impossible, declared the chief security officer, a Zith whose exoskeleton had been polished to a mirror shine for the meeting. The system generates a unique quantum key of every 0.003 seconds. Lee caught the credit chip one final time and pocketed it. Yeah. There's a pattern to the generation. You'll feel it after a while. Feel it, repeated the CSO flatly. Lee nodded. Give me 3 security officers with standard clearance, and I will empty your primary vault in under 17 minutes. The board erupted into chittering, hooting, and telepathic exclamations of disbelief. The bank chairman raised a limb for silence. Perhaps a demonstration is in order. Lee smiled. I thought you'd never ask. 17 minutes later, the bank's supposedly impenetrable vault was open, its contents untouched but very much accessible. Lee hadn't hacked a single system or broken any physical barrier. He had just walked in. Somehow anticipating the exact moment each security measure would be at its weakest. His feed doubled on the spot. In the diplomatic realm, humanity's stock rose even faster. The Vishari-Zith border dispute had been simmering for centuries, with both sides convinced of their rightful claim to the resource-rich Kytherian expanse. Previous Union mediators had failed repeatedly to broker a lasting peace. Now, a diplomatic human team led by the ambassador Eva Rio sat at the center of the negotiation table on neutral ground. The Vishari algorithm predicts the Zith will reject our proposal, the Vishari lead negotiator was saying, its holographic form cycling through probability matrices. Ambassador Rio didn't look up from her notes. They won't. Our calculations indicate a 98.7% probability. They'll accept. Rio interrupted, finally looking up. Commander Raxtal has been clicking his left mandible irregularly throughout the proceedings. In Zith body language, that indicates a willingness to compromise that his conscious mind has not fully accepted yet. The Vishari's negotiator's form flickered in surprise. You noticed this? Rio smiled. Just a hunch. When the Zith delegation indeed accepted the proposed resource-sharing agreement with only minor modifications, the Vishari negotiator stared at Rio with something approaching awe. How did you know? It asked after the Zith had left. The same way I know you're going to offer humanity exclusive trading rights in the Epsilon sector, Rio replied, gathering her materials. Some things you just feel coming. The most dramatic changes, however, came in the military sphere. The legendary Unari dueling tournaments had been the galaxy's premier display of martial prowess for millennia. The Unari, with their ability to phase through multiple temporal states, had never been defeated in formal combat, until First Lieutenant Zoe Zen Dao stepped into the arena on Unari Prime. The arena fell silent as the human entered, wearing nothing but a simple black combat suit. No weapons, no technology, not even shoes. Across from her, Champion Dular of the Unari Chrono Guard manifested in all his temporal glory, his form splitting and recombining across 7 different time states simultaneously. His ceremonial chronoblade hummed with energy that existed in multiple dimensions at once.
Human, Dular's time-phased voice echoed, you honor us with your presence, but you cannot hope to match the temporal mastery with mere anticipation.
Dao stretched her arms above her head, then dropped into a relaxed fighting stance. We'll see. The signal was given. Dular attacked. His chronoblade slashed through 7 different temporal planes at once, a technique that has bisected countless challengers over the centuries. The attack was, by definition, impossible to avoid, as it existed all across potential evasion timeframes simultaneously. Dao wasn't there. She hadn't dodged left or right or up or down. She had simply stepped slightly to the side and forward, into a microscopic gap in the temporal attack pattern that Dular hadn't even realized existed. The Unari champion froze, his blade passing through empty air. Dao tapped him lightly on what approximated as a shoulder. I believe that's a kill point in your rulebook. The arena remained silent for 30 full seconds before erupting into sounds of disbelief, awe, and frantic betting on the remainder of the match. There was no remainder. Dao defeated Dular in straight points, never once drawing her own weapon. She simply wasn't there when his attacks landed, always moving a fraction of a second before he committed to each strike. After the match, as Dular presented her with the ceremonial victor's chronoblade, he asked for the question that was burning through the arena.
How do you see through the time veils?
Dao accepted the blade with a respectful bow.
We don't see through them. We feel where they are going to be.
But perhaps the most talked about incident came during what would have been a routine patrol in a disputed space. A Vraxnul pirate vessel entered the border of Union space. A splinter fraction of the Zith emerged from FTL with weapons charged.
Union vessel,
came the transmission.
Prepare to be boarded.
Aboard the premonition, Tactical Officer Jax Tam turned to Vega. Sir, they're powering up an FTL missile. Those things are
impossible to dodge, yeah, I know,
Vega said, rotating his command chair to face the tactical station.
Time to impact?
5 seconds, sir, we need to...
Relax, Tam,
Vega said, tapping commands into his console.
I got a feeling about this one.
The missiles launched, instantly accelerating to faster-than-light speed. By all known laws of physics, evasion was impossible. The missile would arrive at its target before any sensor could even detect its approach. Yet somehow, impossibly, the premonition wasn't there when the missile arrived. Vega had executed a micro-jump to a position exactly 0.3 light seconds away, a maneuver initiated before the missile launched. Return fire, Vega ordered calmly. The premonition's conventional weapons struck the pirate vessel with perfect precision, disabling its engines and weapon systems without causing catastrophic damage. As Union reinforcements arrived to secure the disabled pirate ship, the communications officer reported, Sir, I'm receiving priority transmissions from 17 different Union worlds. They're all requesting your autograph? Vega laughed.
Send them my standard reply. Set course for Earth. I think we made our point.
6 months after that, humanity's integration into the Galactic Union was complete, and the galaxy had learned to live with the uncomfortable reality of a species that could, in effect, feel the future before it happened. In a dimly lit bar on Nexus Station, Commander Vraxnil, now Captain Vraxnil after a series of promotions stemming from his first-hand experience with humans, nursed a synthesized enzyme cocktail and stared glumly at the video screen showing highlights from the latest human exhibition tournament. On screen, the human operator navigated a battle mech through an obstacle course of increasing difficulty. Despite the random nature of the obstacles, the human piloted the mech with perfect precision, always moving before each hazard activated.
Still don't get it.
Raxnell muttered to no one in particular.
How the hell do they just move like that?
A hand clapped him on his armored shoulder. Turning, he found himself face to face with none other than Commander Jake Vega, out of uniform, and now holding what looked like an Earth beer. "Buy you another round, Captain?" Vega asked, his infuriating grin as present as ever. Raxnell's mouth clicked in surprise.
Commander Vega, I did not expect to see you here.
"Oh, I had a feeling you'd be around," Vega said, sliding into the stool next to the Zeth officer. "It's Admiral Vega now, technically. I still prefer Mav."
Admiral,
Raxnell acknowledged, accepting the drink Vega ordered for him.
The Union has been generous with promotions for your kind.
"Hard to argue with the results," Vega shrugged. "How's the Zith Collective handling the new galactic order?" Raxnell's compound eyes fixed on Vega.
We adapt. We evolve. It is our way. He paused, though I admit it is unsettling to no longer be the species with the fastest reactions in known space.
Vega laughed. "If it makes you feel any better, you guys still process information faster than we do. We get a little preview sometimes."
A hunch,
Raxnell said, the human word sounding strange through his translator. "Exactly." They drank in silence for a moment, watching the tournament coverage.
I must ask,
Raxnell finally said hesitantly.
That day in the assessment chamber, you knew what would happen, didn't you? You knew your ability would shock the Union.
Vega's smile turned enigmatic. "Just say I had a good feeling about it."
And now humanity stands as the third most influential species in the Union, despite being the newest member,
Raxnell observed. "Funny how things work out, isn't it?" Raxnell's compound eyes narrowed.
The question that has bothered me for a full stellar cycle. How exactly does it work? This precognition of yours.
Vega took a long sip of his beer, eyes twinkling with mischief. Then he leaned in close, as if he was about to reveal a great secret. "Wouldn't you like to know?"